All right, here is question number 2 on our Unit 1 review. It's 2x minus 8 equals a negative 10. All right, and so as we discussed in class, there's a couple things you can do. You can do the do and undo list, and so let's do that one to practice that one a little bit. So this is the do and this is the undo. All right, and remember the do is what is being done to the variable, and the undo is what we do the opposite. All right, so here we go. We need to look at our variable. Our variable is x here. This is our variable. And what we want to do is we want to find out what is being done to that x and for that variable. So if we look, the closest thing that's being done is being multiplied by 2. So I'm going to put a little time sign right here to show that it's being multiplied by 2. All right. It's also, if you look, it's also that little x there is being subtracted by negative 8. All right. And so we're going to put subtract negative 8. All right, so as we discussed in class, we said that we would go in the opposite, that we would do the opposite. So instead of multiply by 2, we're going to divide by 2. And instead of minus 8, we're going to add 8. Remember, in algebra, all right, in algebra, we do the opposite and we go backwards. If we don't have a variable, we do PEMDAS, all right? But when we do algebra, if there's a variable, we go back. When we have a variable, we do the opposite in both sides. So we're actually going to go that way. In algebra, we go backwards. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 8. Not subtract. You're going to add 8 to both sides. Alright, and as you remember, we said we bring down our 2x. This here is what we said is a zero pair, so it kind of cancels out. Alright, now this part right here we talked about is our lookout section. If you remember, I said this is the part where you have to watch the signs. If the signs are both the same, we're going to add the numbers and take the sign of the biggest number. If the signs are different, though, then we're going to subtract the numbers and take the biggest sign. So in this case we have a minus and a plus. So you just say 10 minus 8 and that is 2. The biggest number is a 10 and so we take the sign on that, which is negative, and we use that. Alright, so we've done adding and subtracting to both sides first. Then we're going to keep going up, and if you notice the next thing we're doing is divide by 2. So if you look at it, what's my variable? It's x. What's being done to x is being multiplied by 2, so the opposite is divide both sides by 2. Now don't forget, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 times x, think about 1 times x is really just x, 1x. So we're just going to put an x here. A negative 2 divided by 2 is going to be negative 1. Now remember in class we talked about checking your work. We could put a negative 1 in for x. So in this case here was our original problem. Alright, and I could put a negative 1 in there for x. Now if I multiply 2 times a negative 1 I get negative 2, and then I have a minus 8. And if you put this or do the math, you should get it to equal a negative 10, which is exactly what's on the other side. So this is question number 2.